Of course, the Ravens went out to L.A. and beat the Chargers on a Monday night, and I was following this man on Twitter as he was sharing some of his thoughts about the game. He knows a thing or two about football brother matchups, and I guess he's been on the side of Jim the one time he went up against his brother John. He is, of course, Coach Jay Gruden, Underdog Fantasy, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn. Always great to catch up. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Glenn, happy Thanksgiving. Great win by the Ravens on Monday night. That was fun to watch.
So you told the story on Twitter, but you know a thing or two about being on the wrong end of a matchup against your brother.
Yeah, surprisingly, we coached a lot. I coached with them for 7 years in Tampa Bay, but as coaches, we never went against each other. When I was coaching with the Redskins, he was in the broadcast booth. And then when he got out, we never got a chance to play him. Then, of course, I got fired, and that's the end of it. But I was a player for Louisville, and he was a graduate assistant coach for the University of Tennessee. And, yeah, they got us 41-10.
Yeah, that, has he ever let you live that down? Has he reminded you about it a few times over the years?
No, not really.
Okay.
He was just being a graduate assistant.
Yeah, it's
he was
not
mainly drawing up cards and not doing a whole lot, But I think deep down he was pulling for us. I hope.
You were the quarterback. That makes sense. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
All right, Jay. Okay, so a few things that stood out for me on Monday night that I had noticed that what you were following. I think everybody's talking about John Harbaugh's decision to go for it, 4th and 1 from his zone 16, and it worked. And it's the greatest decision that ever was because it worked. But as you were watching it in the moment, what was your reaction to it? Was it, this is insane, or this might be where football is, that you have to make these types of decisions now?
Yeah, I think it was actually genius, and obviously there was a huge risk involved, but the reward was pretty big because they just punt. They were kind of playing lackluster, and the Chargers kind of had their own way with them. And for him to flip the momentum going into half, I think it was a necessary move, and it paid off in a big way. Obviously, as it doesn't work, Chargers probably go down and score. They're probably down, 21-7, I think it might be. So that could have been catastrophic. However, the reward was quite big because they went down and scored, took a 14-10 lead. The end of the half, I don't understand what they were doing, rushing zero, give them 3 points, but going for it was a smart move. It always is when it works.
No doubt, it always is when it works. The sense that I get is that football teams, the more I talk to players, the more I get the idea that, like, that's who they want to be, and that even if it doesn't work, I feel like it wouldn't lead to like a mutiny or anything like that, or like guys being like, no, you're insane. It feels like the guys on the sideline are more likely to say, yeah, let's be that team. We want to be the team that does stuff like this, and you wouldn't lose your team over a decision like this, even if it does go the wrong way.
Yeah, I agree. I think in team meetings, you explain to your team, hey, we're going to be aggressive with this approach, and hell, if we don't get it in defense, you come up, sudden change, and step up and hold them to a field goal. That's just the way it is. You got our back, and I think that's what great teams do. They count on each other. Sometimes if it doesn't work, you throw an interception, you don't get the 4th down, then it's up to the defense to get a stop, and vice versa. So, yeah, it's great team football. People rely on each other and cover up some of the misgivings, so to speak, from the other side of the ball. So, yeah, Baltimore can do that. They have the luxury of having a great offensive line running right behind. Linderbaum is a hell of a good thing, and using Mark Andrews, a big body to quarterback sneak, it was pretty smart.
I wonder if there's another step to it, right? Like, obviously it was beneficial within this game. That's clear. But I don't know. Is it? You mentioned they were lethargic to start the game. They were coming off, a lackluster performance in Pittsburgh the week before. Is it possible that something like that could be, I don't want to be too hyperbolic about it, but it can be sort of a galvanizing point within a season, like, right, yeah, maybe a little bit of a wake-up moment, let's go, and that you can build off of it moving forward.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then for the offense to convert, a lot of times you go for it in that situation, still have opportunity to go 3 and out and punt again.
That's true.
But for them to capitalize on that, Lamar to make the big-time throw for the touchdown at the end of the half, that's a great reward. So they rewarded Harbaugh for making that decision. That's for sure. So, yeah, for sure, they can give you momentum going in. And also it just keeps everybody aware, in coming weeks. If we have 4th and 1 or 2, we got to be ready. We got to be on our toes and have a play ready. Offensive coordinator needs to be ready. The quarterback needs to be ready moving forward. And that's a good thing, to be situationally ready in those situations.
Jay Gruden is with us here on GCR. He's with Underdog Fantasy now. Jay, Coach, I feel like once you go for it in that spot, because they went for it twice more in fourth and short spots during the game, is it a case of like once you've done it from your own 16, you kind of have to? Like this is who you are. You better be lining up and going for it every time when you're in that spot moving forwards?
Yeah, no, I don't think you have to do it every time. I think the situations will arise where sometimes they'll punt depending on how they're playing defense or kick a field goal, whatever the score might be. I don't think it's an every time thing, but I think Harbaugh has a pretty good idea. Their defense wasn't playing very well early, and he figured if he gave the ball right back to him, he had a chance to go in a pretty big hole. So I think the reward was much greater than the risk in that situation, and it might be that way the next week and the next week after that. We'll have to find out, but there will be a time where I'm sure he'll punt or kick a field goal on 4th and 1 or 2.
Coach, one of the things that I think beyond 4th and 1 that was one of the biggest stories on Monday night was the fact that they got down by 10, and unlike what we've seen other times from the Ravens, they stuck it out with Derrick Henry, and you referenced that insane third down run that he had where he just stiff-armed two dudes, and these poor guys are just like begging, holding on desperately, hoping to try to do something, but how difficult is it for a team when you fall behind by multiple scores to just say, hey, we can't panic? How difficult is that? How important is it to make sure that you stick with it? And how much of a difference did you feel like that made in their win over the Chargers?
A big difference. A lot of times you get down by 10, you feel like you got to hurry up, get back into it, score quick, and the way to score quick is throwing the football, but the strength of Baltimore's team, they're first in the league in rushing, or first in the league in total offense, or second in rushing, third in passing. I get it, but using the ability of Lamar's legs and obviously Derrick Henry, you can't lose sight of the strengths of your football team. And I feel like last year in a playoff game, maybe they did a little bit, not use their running game quite as much as they probably would have liked to have. But this is the strength of their team. They're a physical football team, and they can pound it. And Lamar can keep it. Derrick and even Justice Hill had a big run yesterday. Yep. So they've got to stay balanced. And they're doing a great job in all facets of their offense. They're first in the league in total offense, for God's sake. So there's really nothing to fault about what they're doing and what Coach Monken's calling.
You referenced a minute ago that, what happened defensively going into the half, and that wasn't great. But in general, in the last 2 weeks, they didn't allow a touchdown against the Steelers while they lost the game. That still was a step forward for a team that had been, the worst in the NFL in pass defense. And then, this week it ends up being 23 points, but 7 of them came at the end when they were clearly playing a softer defense. Is there reason to be encouraged about the direction of this team? Tre'Davious White looks like way more significant than anyone thought that was going to be when they acquired him at the deadline. They've gone away from Marcus Williams. They got rid of Eddie Jackson altogether, and Ardarius Washington stepped up. Do you feel like there might be reason to be encouraged, particularly given that they played on Monday night without Roquan Smith?
Yeah, there's some encouragement there. They were also blessed with about 3 drops by that wide receiver.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston.
So
yeah.
I don't think I don't think many of these receivers are going to play in the future. Are going to drop shallow crosses right in their hands for 40-yard gains. But yeah, for sure, they just got to get some confidence and continue to get the pass rush. Van Noy's got 8 sacks. He's doing a good job. So they just got to figure out ways to manufacture a pass rush and help these DBs out, and vice versa. DBs got to help the pass rush so they can cover a little bit longer to let Matabuke and all these guys get home.
Oh, to your point, like I agree with you. I guess the bar was so low, right, for the worst pass defense in the NFL that you don't need them to be the best. You just sort of need them to not be god-awful, right, to like help out a little bit. And I guess that's what I'm measuring this by, is not that I suddenly think they're an outstanding defense, but just that they're like maybe we don't see what we've seen in the 2 matchups, say, against the Bengals every week out moving forward.
Yeah, well, the Bengals are blistering everybody with their pass offense. That's a tough team to stop with Burrow and Chase and Higgins. But you're right. They definitely have. It's really uncharacteristic of a Baltimore Raven defense to be 31st in the league in anything. I just never would ever expect that from that franchise. That's not how they're built. They're built on being a first or second in the league in pass defense and rush defense. They're playing to run pretty good, but you're right. I think adding Tre'Davious White will help. I think the rookie's starting to play a little bit better, Wiggins.
Yep.
They just got to get some confidence and get some continuity back there. and they'll be fine.
Coach, what did you make of them not even bringing in like competition or putting a kicker on the practice squad or anything like that, as Justin Tucker had been struggling? I know, like, he only made one kick this week, so I don't know that we all of a sudden say he's definitively fixed. But what did you make of the Ravens' strategy to say, look, this is Justin Tucker. We kind of don't care. We're gonna continue to give him grace and have faith that he will get this thing figured out.
I think it's a smart move because there's nobody on this planet that would rather have kick a game-winning field goal in the playoffs than Justin Tucker. You know, I know he's got ice water in his veins. He's missed a few kicks. I get it, but you want him on your team. You need him on your team. He's a great weapon. He's been there, been consistent his whole career, and let's live through a couple of his bad kicks. He's allowed to have a couple bad kicks.
Deep down in places we don't talk about. Yeah, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. I completely get it, Coach.
Exactly.
I completely get it. All right, so we referenced the defense. This week it's Philadelphia coming into Baltimore. No rest for the weary, as the Ravens have one more game before they finally get to their bye. The Eagles seem to be playing on a different level at the moment, and what Saquon Barkley is doing is absolutely insane. I still feel like, you know, you've got Lamar Jackson, you got a great chance, and he tends to carve up NFC teams. But what do you make of this matchup against Philadelphia on Sunday?
Well, hopefully Roquan plays. They're going to need him because they're going to use Lamar and Jalen Hurts relentlessly and then play single high safety. And we'll see how you guys like Tre'Davious White and Wiggins out on the outside against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith one-on-one matchup. So this is going to be this is really going to be important for Baltimore to be able to stop the run somehow with a light box from time to time because they can't always load up and leave them corners out there one-on-one against those receivers and the way Jalen's throwing it. So it's pick your poison against Philadelphia right now. They can do everything equally as good, very similar to what Baltimore's doing offensively. Philadelphia's first in rushing, Baltimore's second. I think I don't know where Philly is in passing, but Baltimore's third. So this has the makings to be an offensive shootout, very similar to when they played Cincinnati and it was 41-38, or 35-34 both games. I expect this to be a pretty high-scoring game. I don't think Baltimore's cured their defense yet. I think they're going to have a few more hiccups in the road before the playoffs start. I expect this to be a shootout.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And you obviously add in the fact that, Saquon also catches the ball, and you gotta keep your eye on Jalen Hurts running. Yeah, it's a nightmare matchup. There's no doubt about it. All right, Coach, the important question, what is the one seed for you on the Thanksgiving plate tomorrow? Like, what's the thing that you'll go back for 3 times?
I'm a big stuffing guy. I love stuffing.
What kind? Is it oyster stuffing? Yeah. Is it like sausage stuffing? What is the go-to stuffing for you?
Yeah, sausage.
Okay.
Sausage,
right.
For sure.
That's the play.
Onions and green peppers and onions. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Oh yeah, that's
got to do it.
That's outstanding.
Mixed with corn and some potatoes and yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm starving now. You got me hungry.
We only got one day to wait, Coach. We're good. What can we plug for you? Can you remind everybody about the show? What you're doing with Underdog?
Yeah, I'm on. We have a YouTube channel called Clean Pocket. Myself, Pope McCoy, AQ Shipley, and Justin Pugh. We have some shorts in there, and we do like an hour show once a week. Kind of fun to watch. And then Underdog Fantasy. I pick some picks on there. If you guys want to play some higher, lower player props, it's pretty fun.
And, of course, on Twitter, at Coach_Jay Gruden as well. Coach, happy Thanksgiving to you, sir. Thank you, as always, taking the time for us. Look forward to chatting again real soon, all right?
All right, Glenn. Thank you, man.